Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and I'm flying solo in this video. And this is pretty big news. This is really interesting stuff here. This is the publishing chief of Baldur's Gate 3, right? Is it Michael Dowse? He said that Prince of Persia: The Lost Throne was a critical hit and it didn't sell very well, and it's all Ubisoft's fault. He called out Ubisoft's broken strategy. He said if gamers need to get used to not owning games, developers must get used to not having jobs. It's your fault, AAA gaming studios. It's your fault that people aren't buying your games. Oh my God, are we allowed to say that? Does that make him Gamergate? Is this guy Gamergate now? Now, he should know a thing or two about sales. Baldur's Gate 3 did very, very well for Larian. So, and there are some bright spots out there. We've got Power World doing really well. We've got, Stellar Blade, Wukong. A lot of these games existing outside of the traditional AAA publishing space, but Ubisoft is very, very greedy. These publishers are greedy. EA is greedy. They're greedy and they're stupid. And you can be one or the other. You can't be both, right? You can be greedy. You can be stupid. But if you're stupid and greedy, it's going to catch up to you eventually. And it definitely has caught up to them. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Check out Clownfish Minus, clownfishminus.com. We have a plus club out there. We post content you will not find anywhere else. And also check out the DRes News on Twitter, on X. That's our video game and pop culture news feed over there. Again, we have articles and stuff like that. Mostly game focused, but we have a lot of stuff, anime and all that. So this is coming from PCgamer.com. Baldur's Gate 3 publishing chief calls out Ubisoft's broken strategy. If gamers need to get used to not owning games, developers must get used to not having jobs. Ouch. Let's see. Larian director of publishing Michael Dowse, never one to be shy about speaking his mind, has spoken his mind about Ubisoft's decision to disband the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown development team, saying it's the result of a broken strategy that prioritizes subscriptions over sales. Yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna fuck over gamers, they're gonna withhold their money from you. And if your attitude is they are an ATM machine, then they're gonna say fuck you. We're gonna play indie games, or we're gonna go back to playing all the old games that we maybe bought over the years on Steam. We have a backlog of games. God, I've got so many Switch games. They're still shrink wrapped, and this happens to me every generation because I'm a pretty busy guy, right? I mean, I love playing games, but I mean, I will go for a month or two between games sometime, or I'll start a game, I'll maybe get a couple hours into it, and then it might be like a month before I can sit down and get back to it because I'm so busy. Especially when it comes to RPGs, like action games and stuff like that, it's a totally different thing. Arcade games is a different thing. But if I'm going to sit down and play an RPG, it could take me a year or two to actually beat the damn thing because I squeeze it in when I have time. But yeah, gamers are going to go back. Like if they stop making new video games tomorrow, I would just go back and play all the old games I have. I would go back and I've got an archive of retro games. I would go back and play games I've never played before. I'd be good for the rest of my life. Honest to God, just even my Switch library, I'm like, I've got so many JRPGs I haven't even opened. I'd probably be good for the rest of my life. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way now. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is quite good. I've heard it's good. I've heard people say it was good. Some people complained about the main character or whatever, but I heard it was actually pretty decent. From people whose opinions I trust. I mean, your miles may vary, of course. But they said that they basically what happened. If you guys missed the previous video, sales were not where they needed to be. Ubisoft disbanded the team. They said that they were going to put them on other projects. I think maybe, yeah. But also, I think Ubisoft is getting ready to fire a bunch of people, get rid of a bunch of people, and possibly sell themselves off. So anyway, Dowse, again, who works for Larian, said he feels at least this is partially the outcome of Ubisoft's focus on subscriptions over conventional game sales. The whole feeling comfortable with not owning your games thing, espoused by Ubisoft Director of Subscriptions Philippe trembly earlier this year, and the decision to stop releasing games on Steam, which is far and away the biggest digital storefront for PC gaming. The last notable game on their platform was Far Cry 6 in 2021. Here's the original post. The Crew, Mirage, and Avatar came in 2023 and didn't perform, and you can assume subscriptions were at a lull when Prince of Persia released by 2024, which means people wouldn't be launching their store all too much. If it had released on Steam, not only would it have been a market success, but there would likely be a sequel because the team are so strong. It's such a broken strategy. The hardest thing is to make an 85 plus game. It's much, much easier to release one. It just shouldn't be done as it was. So yeah, I mean, everything I've heard is the game was pretty decent. I think there's probably more to it than that, though. I think there is a general feeling of fuck you when it comes to Ubisoft. It's just all the way around. Like even Outlaws, Star Wars Outlaws, despite the controversy around the protagonist's jawline, I think it should have sold better than it did. But look at the pricing. And look at how broken the game was. And, look at the fact that Star Wars as a franchise is not in a good place right now. And all those things. It was a perfect storm. A shit storm, as it were. It was. And, then, of course, that's not even touching the Assassin's Creed Shadows debacle and all of that. I think people are deliberately withholding their money from Ubisoft. If they wanted the games bad enough, they would buy them, right? Casuals would go to Steam and be like, hey, the game's on sale or whatever. This is new. This looks pretty good. And, they're not doing it. He said the statement, gamers should get used to not owning their games, is true because of a specific release strategy, subs above sales. Then the statement, developers must also get used to not having jobs if they make a critically acclaimed game. Platform above title sales is also true. And that just isn't sensible, even from a business perspective. Yeah, you put the best games out possible and you make them available to the widest audience possible, right? You go where your audience is, right? That's why it doesn't make a lot of sense for people to, I don't think, to go start their own streaming service. They're like, hey, let's go start our own service and push that boulder up a hill. I'm like, no, you just go to a platform that already has a bunch of people on it, like Netflix or YouTube or whatever, and you put your content there. Worked out kind of for Disney, but everybody's using Steam. Everybody buys games on Steam, right? This person said, I'm freaking out over subscription models, stabity doom, and I will avoid them, even at the risk of never playing another game I would love. It's not a world I want to see or encourage. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. Oliver Drake here. Oliver Darko. Oliver Darko says, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, released on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch, and Epic Game Store. It was on Switch? I didn't even know it was on Switch. It said it only sold 300,000 copies in its launch month. My God. To suggest a simultaneous Steam release would have somehow saved the game is unrealistic. No, it isn't. It isn't. I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know this game existed until a couple of days ago. I was like, oh, they have a new Prince of Persia. No, it's like a Metroidvania. I'm like, I might actually be interested in that. And it's getting pretty good reviews. Oh, that's interesting. And they're like, oh, yeah, hey, yeah, we're disbanding the team already. Yeah, and the same thing kind of happened with Hi-Fi Rush, too. I thought that was a very good game. And the kids actually played it on the Clownfish gaming channel. And I'm like, this is a breath of fresh air. And then that team got gone. And I guess they got picked up by another company. But yeah. I said the comments are maddening. Many indies and AA games got very popular on Steam because it was there on its hype period. Visibility is everything. Steam Deck would have exploded this game. Certainly would have given it a bigger chance. Yeah, so a lot of people are ditching consoles altogether, I think. And they're more willing to take chances on Steam, I think partially because of the refund policy. And I think this game probably would have done well on handheld. You know, given I'm looking at the graphics, I haven't played it yet. I might actually get it. I might actually get it just to check it out. I do like the old Prince of Persia games, but yeah, I mean, it's just dumb. It's just, he's basically saying, hey, get used to not having jobs. And it's all the way around, right? I mean, we could expand this. We could blow this up a little bit. And we could expand it to include some of the stupid decisions they're making in regards to the content itself, right? if you're forcing players to accept decisions, poor decisions being made about, their favorite franchises or whatever, and you're calling them, Nazis and bigots if they don't like it, then you need to get used to being unemployed. Because at the end of the day, they determine whether or not you keep your job. There is no more venture capital to dip into. It's gone, right? It might not be coming back for a long time. So you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, and you're going to have to sell shit. And the way you sell shit is you make shit that people want to buy. It ain't rocket science. You make stuff people want to buy, and you put it in as many places where they can get it as easily as possible, and you will sell stuff. Comics is kind of learning this lesson right now. It looks like DC Comics is finally starting to get it. They have a huge success with Absolute Batman, as I understand it. And Marvel before them had a huge success with Ultimate Spider-Man, giving people what they wanted. MJ and Peter Parker back together, married. And I've heard they've already blown that whole thing up, though. But Energon Universe, same thing. Basic Transformers, robots that turn into cars. We don't insert gender ideology into the robot comic because it doesn't make any damn sense. That's all you have to do. It's not hard. It really isn't hard. So again, going back to the original article, Ubisoft has arguably seen the error of its ways to some extent already. It's too little too late. This after years of keeping PC releases to its own storefront and Epic Games, Ubisoft games began trickling back into Steam in 2022. They announced a wholesale return of the storefront in September, saying that all future releases, including Assassin's Creed Shadows, will launch on Steam on day one. They are desperate. They are desperate. And again, this is a whole, they want to keep you in their own ecosystem, right? Because they don't have to share revenue with Valve if they have their own storefront. And that's, usually what it's about. And then they can upsell you their own stuff. But unless you have a Fortnite, nobody cares, right? It's worth remembering that even when you purchase the game on Steam, you don't really own them in the traditional sense. That's actually true. You're paying for a license to use them, and that can be taken away from you anytime. Yes, I am very angry. I actually have games from years ago. They're no longer available on Steam, including the very, very excellent Transformers Devastation, which I can still play, but I can't buy it for another account. It sucks, but I freaking love that game. It was so good. Anyway, same with the Apple Store. I've got an old, I actually have an old iPod Touch that has a whole bunch of OG games that they don't even have available in the store anymore. And it's I'm never wiping it because every once in a while I want to play these games, right? They said, with all due respect to GOG, Steam is where most PC gamers buy their stuff. That's true. Most people forget GOG exists. I love GOG. They have a lot of the old Ultimate games and everything on it. And the digital marketplace, they now dominate. They dominate PC gaming. And they said it is kind of the same thing, right? It's kind of like if you buy your movies off of Vudu or Fandango at home or whatever they call it right now. Same thing. They can pull them at any point in time. Dallas isn't the only Larian stalwart to feel this way. In January, Larian founder Sven Vink, said it's going to be a lot harder to get good content if subscription becomes the dominant model, because that will leave subscription service owners as the final arbiters of which games do and don't get made. That's maybe a debatable point, but the bottom line is you won't find our games on a subscription service. So there you go, guys. Interesting to call it out. Basically, you guys blew it. You had a good game, and you blew it. You blew it. But that's the story. That's basically Ubisoft right now, as I understand. It's just one shitty, stupid decision after another. Again, that's not even touching on the content. It's a combination of many things, and this company is totally going to get sold. They cannot operate as is. I think people are actively boycotting this company. You've got the stench of DEI all over you. You've pissed gamers off with this subscription thing. I think a lot of people at the top should be fired. Just fucking fire the C-suite and start over again, which is probably what Tencent's going to do, right? They'll just buy the IP and call it a day. Anyway, fantastic time to go on strike, guys. Just putting it out there. You guys are in the shit and you're going to go on strike now? Seriously? Gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later. Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.